Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
Truth, lies, shenanigans. 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 Tune in to TLS. Yeah, tune in to TLS. It's the TLS show. Coming to you live from the TLS show.
Hey, welcome to the Truth, Lies, Shenanigans podcast, social commentary, hot topics, amazing guests with a lot of fun and shenanigans along the way.
Womp, womp, womp.
This week we were expecting Tommy Jermaine, but unfortunately he was unable to make it. But we will be talking about some hot topics, discussing Washington, D.C.'s mayor telling President Biden he needs to end federal teleworking. Canadian hockey gets a win despite looming assault allegations. Then we'll chat about Kevin McCarthy and Damar Hamlin. But of course, before we get into the podcast, I've got to introduce you to my wonderful co-hosts. First up, our lovely professor, journalist, editor, streaming live from Washington, D.C., Miss Liz E.
What's up, everyone? Happy Sunday, fun day. Happy New Year. This is our first time seeing all of you.
It is.
Talking to all of you since we welcomed in 2023. So happy New Year. Hope you guys had a wonderful holiday season. We left you right before Christmas. Hopefully you got some good gifts. And then we ushered in a new year, and here we are. And before we get to talking about DC's mayor, let's talk about the DC, the Washington football team. We're putting the smackdown on those Bama Dallas Cowboys right now. DC is up 23-6 in the fourth quarter. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this.
With all those injuries too? Wow, that's pretty good. 23-6.
Okay, DC.
23-6.
Nice. All right. Liz is happy for it. All right. Our nature lover, gamer, rock star, coming to you from Ontario, Canada, Mr. Robbie Rob.
We can't hear you, Rob. We can't
Rob
hear
doesn't
you.
want to talk to us today.
Of course he does.
We
Of
wanna
course he
talk
does.
to
But
Rob.
he wants to make rookie mistakes every season. So, it's awesome. I step away. I better mute my microphone. Gosh darn it, I'm back and I forgot to hit that red button. Gosh darn it. But I just wanted to echo Liz and wish everyone a happy new year. I had a wonderful holiday break. And yesterday was actually the first time I looked at my computer since December 23rd. So, yeah, that was kind of nice. My wife and I got to spend some wonderful time with family, and the kids are just magical during those get-togethers. It's really great, and I was very fortunate. I got to connect with a few good old friends over the holidays and swap stories. So very good for the soul, for the spirit to reconnect with those people. And we got some amazing sticky snow. So I got to build the grandest snow fort of my life. I'm so proud of it.
Rub it in, why don't you? Rub it
I
in,
wish
why
I should
don't
have
you?
put
Rub it in.
pictures. I should have got some pictures so we could see it.
Oh well, you know what? I'm gonna get it lit up at night. But yeah, this time, like, we got 3 days in a row of really warmish, sticky weather, and I took advantage of it. Stands at a modest 7 feet high where the archway is, and it's about 5.5 feet tall all the way around. And outside diameter is about maybe 13 feet, give or take, and the inside diameter is about 11 feet. I'll get some nice pictures and post them up.
Pretty
on the
impressive,
page.
I must say.
That sounds impressive.
I worked out.
DC is like Charlie Brown on Halloween. Everyone else is getting candy when they go trick-or-treating. We get rocks. We got rocks. We got no snow here.
Nothing.
We got nothing.
It was just cold.
You got cold.
It was cold for like 3 days, though. This
That's
past
true.
week, I had
But it was
my
cold
AC
just for
on.
Christmas.
It was
Yeah, it was like
crazy.
a cold snap.
Yeah. Disappointing
Yeah.
for sure. All right, well, Love your
A
Fort
cold
Rodney.
snap. I'm very curious what the temperature required for a cold snap is down there.
Oh, that's true.
I
Yeah,
mean,
you're-
you know, she had the heater on earlier. She had the heater on in Atlanta earlier. My goodness.
Thank you, Liz. Exactly. It's been like 13 degrees over here. It's
Pa-
freezing. It's
Paulette's
freezing.
online. She said playing in the snow is great therapy.
Yes.
All right.
Agreed.
Next up, our college student model entrepreneur streaming from Atlanta, Georgia, Gianni Storm.
Hello, everybody. I've missed you guys. It's been a nice vacation though, because I got to really rest finally, actually like sleep and sleep in and stuff like that. So I would say I've had a restful couple of weeks, but also I went to finally I've been social, guys. Finally, something new. So, but it was
Wait.
kind of not really a big environment. I went to a New Year's Eve luncheon. So
Oh,
it was
luncheon.
like it was like an Atlanta was hosting like an entrepreneurs, but it's for like Black women entrepreneurs. So it was like an intimate little thing. But I
Awesome.
enjoyed it. Yeah, I got to speak.
Good.
Yeah, I got to speak with some people that I would consider maybe mentors in a way, and it was just refreshing. I liked it. It was something new. But I had to get over this social anxiety. I didn't think I was gonna have it because I talk to you guys like all the time, but being in person with new people, I was like, okay.
Is it after the pandemic or just in general?
I think it's like in a social setting because I work and I'm around people,
Right.
but I'm working, so it's
Oh, I get you.
working for them as opposed to me sitting down in front of somebody and talking to them about
Having
like, my
small
life.
talk and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
That
was,
can be
but it was
challenging.
fun. It's been a good week.
Oh.
And we only had snowfall in Atlanta once, and it was like not even an inch, but I was so happy.
Oh, but you had snow.
Good for you, girl. Good for
Got
you.
more than DC.
Well,
Got
that's
more
true.
than DC.
That's true. Got nothing.
We got nothing.
And can we talk about Johnny's nail game tonight? Like, that's epic.
Oh, let's check it
Don't
out.
scratch.
I didn't see it. Oh,
Don't scratch your eyes.
Oh wow, no, that's
nice.
intense.
Beauty.
Oh, that's a little scary. Yeah.
Beauty.
Whew.
Very nice.
That was a shark.
I know.
That's what happens. See, if y'all come for Gianni, try to steal that car
Steal
again,
that car.
she's gonna call you. She's gonna call you.
Leave that truck alone.
Exactly. Come for her. Come for her.
All right, of course, I'm your host, Neo Nix. I had a good holiday too, because right after Christmas we flew out to beautiful, sunny, and unlike Canada, warm and snowless Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico, it was, oh man, we had a lot of fun. Ate some good food. I don't know if you guys know, but mofongo is the dish. Why are you looking like that, Liz?
I don't know if you guys
Because
know.
they were
Of
giving
course.
you pointers on how to prepare it during the last show.
Oh, that's right.
Hello.
She did, didn't she?
Hello.
I'm talking. Okay, our listeners need to know that's that's the dish. But look.
So you
So
had some good mofongo.
well, look. Our plan was to go in and have mofongo every day, right? We would find a different place, have mofongo every day. So of course our flight was delayed, of course, like everybody else's flight, and we get there and we got there late, and so we get to the hotel, and only the hotel restaurant is open. So we go down, we say, okay, give us some mofongo. We gotta have some mofongo today. And so they're like, we don't have mofongo. And I'm like, what? And it's on the menu, right? So we don't have any mofongo. And I'm like, what? I mean, we almost shit our pants. We're like, what the hell is going on? And so they explained that because of the hurricane, the plantains crop kind of just was decimated. So they're struggling to source plantains on the island, but but ultimately we did have some really good mofongo. Went to a few places that I guess they were able to get it from somewhere else, but yeah, mofongo, man, it's the dish. So that's right, Liz, I forgot about you. You did tell me I need to have some mofongo, but we had some really good stuff though. Like there was this lobster mofongo which was really good.
No, I had the same plan. So last time I was in Puerto Rico was in 2011,
Mhm.
and I was there for a week, and I had it every single day.
Thing.
Every single day.
Yeah.
Beautiful thing.
Oh
Beautiful.
God.
Yeah, we tried it. We didn't do it every single day. We ultimately did not do it every single day, but we did try different places. I think we had Mfungo at least 5 or 6 times while we were there in 7 days. So
Yeah, 'cause when else are you gonna have it? You might
well,
as
I mean,
have it all.
I want to say there's one really nice Mofongo place nearby in Silver Spring.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
you come here, you go to Adams Morgan.
Oh
Or
yeah,
if you're in New York City, New York City, DC, in the Latin parts of those cities, you
Mhm.
go, you can find it. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I've made it before. I can't say it's as good as what you would get in Puerto Rico, but it's not hard to make. It's not hard to make at all.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
mashed
not-
plantains and
Yeah.
and then of course some kind of meat, some really good meat, and then just a really good sauce, whatever that sauce is, and they've
And
had different
seasonings.
kinds seasonings. Yeah, it's
different type.
yeah,
It sounds interesting.
yeah,
Really
definitely.
good.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get into the show. We got some really good hot topics today. I think we're going to start off with me today, so let's get to it.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
All right, so this week, Mayor Muriel Bowser said that Joe Biden, needs to get it together with this federal teleworking policy because I guess all of the buildings in D.C. are empty. So she basically told him that he needs to get teleworkers back in their chairs and inside some of those empty buildings. And so my question is she right? Should Biden be getting rid of teleworking policies for federal workers, or should Biden just continue to keep allowing them where needed? So I'm gonna go ahead and start. Let's start off with. I'm not gonna start with Lizzie because
He's not going to start with the girl that lives in DC.
I'm not gonna start. We're
Heaven
gonna
forbid
come back to
with the girl
Lizzie.
who lives in DC, who has on her DC 51st State T-shirt on. But go ahead.
So we're gonna come back to Lizzie.
ahead.
So okay, we're gonna start with Gianni. Gianni, so what do you think about ending teleworking for federal employees?
I think that honestly, I feel like we don't necessarily know what's going on still with COVID. So I feel like leaving them as like working at home, let them stay home. I feel like I'm not mad that she offered the housing though, because that's a good point. I didn't
The housing
read
option.
into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the housing option. That makes the most sense. And she also said something like let government officials use it somehow. I feel like okay, whatever with the government officials, but the housing makes sense. And like I would like to know the plan about that because I didn't see too much of that information. Like who would we be housing? Because it also said something like she wants 100,000 new residents in DC. Why?
Mm-hmm.
You said
I'm
why?
with that.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
just
Just to keep
Tax
the city
money.
growing, to keep it prosperous.
Oh, okay. But
Yeah.
as long as we're taking care of
look
DC
at Lizzie with some money.
But yeah, it's about the
Wait.
money, of course. But I feel like I'd let the people work from home. I don't see anything wrong with that, but I also feel like it is something that you should do with those office spaces.
Kevin Thaxton online says, "Get to work." And yes, the city gets the revenue from lunches, parking fees, commuting fees, etc. And Jacqueline Robbins says, with all due respect, Mayor Bowser, she needs to get it together and do something about the crime and homelessness problems. What do you think, Robbie?
Or she could multitask. Go
She
ahead.
can multitask, right?
Mm.
Yeah. So the way that you pitched it, Neo, is a little problematic because it's not exactly accurate. Because she
Okay.
did say, either use these buildings, fill them with federal employees, or flip them so that they can be converted to affordable housing, which would then help house the 100,000 people that they want to bring to the city. So in that respect, she's right. And I think it's a great flex by Mayor Bowser. So because we have a lot of infrastructure that's left sitting empty that unfortunately taxpayers are paying for. I've been talking about this since the dawn of COVID remote work. The feds have an opportunity to offload ongoing maintenance costs for aging infrastructure. They can make some money through the sale of these buildings and office spaces, and North America needs more affordable housing. So I fully support this flex on her.
Fully support. So you fully support.
I'm not saying I fully support her flex. Her
Okay.
flex. I'm not saying I fully I fully support people being forced to go back to work in these buildings. I think it's a brilliant flex on her part. Use these buildings for what their intended purpose is. But I think that the hybrid model that we have at this point with people teleworking is a win for the taxpayer. Because if we remove federal employees from these buildings, we as taxpayers don't have to pay for these buildings. And I think it's a wonderful move in that respect. But it should be performance based. If you're not doing your job, well, then, we've got a nice new shiny office for you.
Okay. All right. All right. Let's go ahead and get to
Face.
the DC resident, Lizzie.
DC resident here. First and foremost, let me just say Muriel Bowser is not the only mayor in this country that is faced with this problem. New York City, Eric Adams has been screaming this for the past year and a half. And he has the power to do something about New York City workers versus what the mayor has to do. Remember, guys, DC is not a state. She is very restricted in what she can and cannot do in terms of governing the city. And when it
Yeah.
comes to maintaining or making decisions about federal buildings, she does have to go to the White House and pitch to Biden. So I don't think it was her necessarily saying, you better do this, to say, look, we have this situation. We are in a situation where we need economic recovery for the city after the pandemic. If you go downtown in DC right now, there are certain parts of downtown that are the ghost town. China, ghost town. You go around the area, Metro Center, all those areas. It's not just that these buildings are empty, but when those buildings are empty and you don't working in them, the buildings, the business around them are not functioning.
Can you repeat
The
what you were saying?
businesses around
Repeat what you were saying, Liz. You were breaking up there a little bit. Go
the
ahead.
business, it's not just that those actual federal buildings are empty and no one's using them. It's the businesses around them that also are not functioning
Right.
because
Right.
The business around them.
they
Right.
are not, no one is, frequenting those businesses.
Yeah, I've been down there
I
too. It's
remember
empty.
See, and I'm
it's
glad you brought that up. I forgot about that because if you follow that money trail, if you look at a lot of these locally owned businesses around federal buildings, who owns them? I know in Canada, in Ottawa, they're looking, that's one of the arguments, but who owns these buildings? High ranking officials within the government. So yeah, they want federal employees back in the federal buildings because they want them in their coffee shops and sandwich shops and bistros.
Yep.
And see, it's a little bit different here because a lot of those buildings here, those businesses here are mom and pop businesses, are private
A lot of mom
businesses
and pops are
that
caught in it too, for sure.
Some, yeah.
exactly. And then it's not just those businesses, but it's also transportation. People aren't going to work. They're not using transportation in the city. So it's all about getting revenue back into the city, revitalizing the city. And like I
Sure.
said, it's not just DC, it's New York, it's Portland, it's San Francisco, it's several cities in Ohio. Like mayors across the country are trying to figure out, okay, what's our plan now? Like no one thought
Yeah.
COVID was going to come in and shut us down for 2 years. So what's our plan now? It's not that, we think all of these workers are lazy, but something has to give.
So
Something has to give. And I do believe, honestly, I do believe it depends on your position as a federal worker. Because if you work for the government, you might not need to be at home. Because then at some point that could include, do we want Congress working from home? No. So we need to be very clear and very specific about who needs to go back to work physically and who can work remotely. I think that there can be a happy medium, but there needs to be a conversation. It can't continue to go the way it has been going
All right.
because DC is losing money.
So look, so I'm looking at Jacqueline Robinson. She responded to Kevin Thaxton online. She says that a lot of restaurants and other businesses are still closed downtown because the entire workforce hasn't returned. And he's right. But there are still a lot of jobs that one can do remotely. And see, that's the thing that got me was the fact that she kind of led with in teleworking. 3 years of forced teleworking is proving that teleworking works. And I worked for a contractor that actually was more efficient and more successful when they went to teleworking. I guess because the employees were just, I guess they were using their time more effectively, but they were definitely more effective. And there are certain jobs, like you say, where certain situations where you need to be at a desk. But for those jobs that it's not, why would you force people to sit in hour-long commutes, more traffic, burn gas, polluting the environment, not to mention the ongoing risk of infections from COVID and the cooties we already had back in the day with cold and flu. And that's only so that city residents can make money off the federal workers having to pay for parking, lunches, and travel, like Kevin Thaxton said online. I mean, I do like the alternative of basically dropping the leases on some of those buildings or reorganizing federal staffing. So I totally agree with that. But I wish she would have led with that and that been the focus of her conversation where, hey, Biden, you need to get it together and figure out what you're going to do about your workforce but not suggest that teleworkers just go back to work for no apparent reason.
That's just throwing
I
it out
mean,
there. The conversation hasn't been had yet. Like no one has sat down to talk about these things. And
Sure.
so, yeah, maybe you come in hot. Maybe you come in hot to the president to get his attention to say, look, this is a conversation that we need to have. But it can't continue to go on the way it has been. And listen, I'm someone who has, for the most part, worked remotely for 3 years now. Okay. I'm not that excited about going back into the office, but as a journalist, I do miss and understand the need to be in a newsroom. It's very
Yeah.
difficult to do
There's some
breaking
jobs you
news.
have to.
Exactly.
My wife
And
is a
even with
research scientist. She needs to go in, to
exactly,
do
or
stuff.
even with teaching. And one of the
Yeah.
reasons why I'm not back, not the only, but one of the reasons why I'm not back in a university classroom right now is because I don't want to be in person.
Mm.
That's just me. I
Mhm.
don't want to be in person with students. So that's, the hit that I take. But the conversation needs to be had. And I think the Biden administration, Lord knows we wouldn't even be talking about having a conversation if we were still with the Trump administration. But I think this is something that the
Good boy.
Biden administration, up until this point, has ignored.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so they need to sit down and figure out what they're going to do about this.
Yeah, they got to figure out what they're doing with these buildings because it is costing taxpayers money. I went to one of the buildings recently, and I'm telling you, it was a literal ghost town. I mean, the lights were on, the heat pumping, and it was just a few people in this I'm talking, it was a huge federal building, and there's nobody there. But like I say, teleworking should not go away, especially if the sole reason is just so federal workers can, help pay for it. Because DC is super expensive. It's a super, super expensive city to live in. And all we would do is be paying to make it even more expensive. So I'm not good with
Even on,
telework going away. They
even on
need to
my
figure something
street,
out though.
even on my street, there are two government buildings on my street. One next door to my building, one directly across the street. Ghost
yeah.
town.
Ghost towns.
And it has affected the few businesses that are on because there's some restaurants on my street, but also the food trucks. There used to be food trucks
Mm-hmm.
lined up
I remember
every
that.
day.
Mm-hmm.
I
Used to come
haven't
to
seen
my.
a food truck in 2 years. Haven't seen a food truck
What?
over here in 2 years because
Wow.
there's no one there to go to them. The people who live here, they're either working during the day, and so they can't go to them, or there are a lot of elderly people that live.
That's kind
They're
of
not going
sad.
downstairs to a food truck. And so, yeah, so something has to give. And I think, maybe this is a wake up. Maybe this is a wake up.
So Gianni,
Yeah.
you're an entrepreneur, right? You have your own business, and you're not
Yeah.
you're not a worker. So you don't technically telework. You have to go in and run your business. I'm just curious, how would what side would you really take as a business owner? If you're one of those business owners going, down where in the lunchtime, you would expect a huge business of lunch rush. I remember
I see.
years and years ago when I was in my early 20s, I was a CVS at L'Enfant Plaza, which is like really downtown DC. And all we
It's
did
right
was
in
have
the
this have a huge lunch rush. And that was it. That was the extent of our business, lunch rush from these federal workers, right? That was the extent of the business.
Yeah.
I'm curious, you as a business owner, how do you feel about like being that business owner who's down there and now you don't have that lunch rush. All you have is trickles all day long.
I feel like it kind of, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of felt that in a way with the whole Airbnb thing, because that was the bulk of my business, especially starting off. And then since a lot of issues here in Atlanta, you can't basically do Airbnb as legally as you were able to.
Mhm.
So I feel like I think like as business owners, as an entrepreneur and small business owners, it's like you're having to find more ways to be creative without just the internet.
I like that.
It's like you're having to be more into the community or building your own community in a way. Like you have to have some type of established like even if it's like email newsletters. I feel like it would affect me badly, but you would have to adjust.
Yeah,
And I think
and
that
that's
And
similar to
if
what
you
Robin
repurpose
Johnson just said. Real quick, Robin Johnson said online, COVID taught us businesses have to evolve. Good, Rob.
And that's it. If they do repurpose the buildings and make them affordable housing, then you're replacing that workforce that is just transit in your community with actual residents in your community that you can make real connections with and get real repeat business with.
that's true.
And let me just say
People.
this about the affordable housing attachment. Please don't believe that if they do convert these buildings to residences, that they're going to be affordable housing buildings. And
Right.
that's not what's going to
That's
happen.
what I'm
It's going to
scared
be
of.
probably 10 to 15%. That's
At
that's the
best.
minimum you have to do in this city. And they're not going to lose out on all of that prime retail money, making the whole
Mhm.
entire building affordable housing. So when she said, she's trying to attract 100,000 residents to the city, that's not 100,000 affordable housing residents.
Mhm.
Okay. She wants people to come to the city who have money to spend.
Money.
There will be
Of course,
there
yeah.
will be some space set aside for affordable housing. But even with that, it's still money coming into the city. And given the business that you're in, Gianni. So there were 3 laundromats, not laundromats, 3 dry cleaners over here.
Oh, dry cleaners
Um,
got
Yeah.
hit hard.
3 dry cleaners over here. One of them closed down completely
Mhm.
because no one's running downstairs or dropping off their dry cleaning before or after work. There are 2 over here that are still hanging on by a thread. But it's brick and mortar businesses are gonna have to rethink how they operate.
Rethink
But
it.
for some of them, it's gonna be a complete shutdown for some of them
Shut down.
because there's
Yeah.
no other way to operate other than in person. So it's a conversation that we need to start having
Sure.
that we didn't think we were
It
gonna have
reminds me
3 years ago.
it reminds me of like Blockbuster and Redbox. Like what happened to like Blockbuster
Good
and
point.
Redbox
Girl.
and then the whole thing. But like with small
Well,
businesses.
Netflix.
So
Netflix killed, like you said, Netflix killed Blockbuster. And Blockbuster failed to switch and adjust in time to save themselves. Because Netflix
But I mean,
destroyed them.
I don't feel bad for Blockbuster. Blockbuster killed Arrow's Video.
Arrow's Video.
Yeah.
They don't know Arrow's Video. That was a
I
local.
know you know Dio.
Yeah,
I know you
Arrow's
know
Video.
Dio.
They killed popcorn video in my area. I get it.
Arrow's
I get it.
All right, we're going to let's end the conversation on that one. Arrow's Video. All right, so we got some comments online real quick. So Kevin Thaxton's like, CVS. Yeah, I hated CVS. Never again. I still have nightmares about CVS. And I wasn't even there that long. I mean, I was like, this horrible work experience. Jacqueline Robinson said, our courts are also having difficulty with handling civil cases because many of the clerks and other personnel are working remotely. She says, we lost a large restaurant near my office that had been there for 25 years. They relied on government and private industry employees and large tourists for breakfast and lunch. The rent was $40,000 per month, and it wasn't sustainable without the revenue. Yeah, because the rents
Mike
are extremely
Winter-
high.
Mike
Yeah.
Winter on YouTube says they were teleworking long before the pandemic. Most of the places I know share office space and require workers to function. I'm guessing telework at least 2 days per week. So yeah, I'd like the hybrid models where you have
Hybrid is
office
good.
space that's being used to hotel in, and I think that makes
But
sense.
even
if
then, you can
count-
consolidate. You can consolidate. Even with the hybrid model, they can consolidate what they're using right now significantly.
considerably.
And the other thing is, I just want to point out before we go, I was looking up the numbers. There are twice as many federal contractors than there are actual civil servants. And the contractors are also teleworking. Matter of fact, a lot of them have permanently gone to teleworking. So they had empty buildings, but then they're giving up their lease spaces as well. So I just think that they just have to adjust. The federal government needs to
Also, think
adjust.
about who's going to be getting these government.
I'm losing you. Say it again.
No. I said you also have to think about who's going to be in the future if everything goes remote or
Mhm.
continues to be remote. Who's going to get these federal jobs in the future? Not going to
Yeah.
be DC residents.
No.
Bro,
It'll
That's-
be somebody in California, in Hawaii,
Oh.
who doesn't have to be here.
Absolutely 100%. All right.
But you can put that in the job requirements that if the job requires you to be there or to be a resident of the state and or city, the municipality that you're serving, I
Oh,
think that would make
Rob.
sense
Oh,
to have that as a clause. I don't
oh,
outsource
Rob.
that. I know.
You don't know. You don't know how they get over with that with football. Let's have a conversation off camera about how they get around those rules with football. You're supposed to live in DC to play for a DC high school football team. But you live way out in Maryland and use someone
Mhm.
else's address.
I know some people like
Mm,
that
mm,
actually.
we all do.
Actively doing it.
We all do.
All right. Is this truth, lies, or shenanigans?
It's truth,
There's a lot of truth.
unfortunately. It's
I
true.
mean, she did have
It's the
some truth.
truth.
She didn't just only say, go back to teleworking. So she did say that the federal government needs to get it together, and they do. They absolutely need to get it together.
I mean, and listen, I am no Muriel fan, believe me. But on this one, I'm just like,
Yeah.
look at all these empty buildings and all this foolishness. And also empty
Yep.
buildings attract rodents. By the
Mm-hmm.
way.
Wow.
That's another thing I'm not appreciative of. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. Let's go try next one.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
Rob B. Canada finally won something. I mean, I'm sorry.
Oh, shut up. It's a hockey tournament. Of course we won something.
so, all right, but tell us why there's a controversy behind it.
All right. Well, let's start with the tip of the hat to Team Canada for bringing home gold at the World Junior Hockey Championship, and kudos to the U.S. for taking the bronze in the tournament.
Oh!
Sorry.
Bronze.
That was some shade, y'all. He was shading us, y'all. That was some slick
I guess
shade,
he returned my shade, I guess.
It's better than no medal. My God, so much hostility. But the win does come at a time when Hockey Canada, the organization, is under fire, and with just cause. This particular controversy started in May when Hockey Canada reached a settlement with a young woman who alleged that she was sexually assaulted in 2018 by 8 Canada Hockey League players, including members of the World Junior team. So Hockey Canada CFO Brian Carroll told our ministers of parliament that the organization settled the lawsuit because it was the right thing to do for the complainant and for the organization. The young woman claimed damages to the tune of $3.5 million in her statement, and Hockey Canada's board of directors approved the maximum amount of the settlement, and the settlement offer was made and accepted. So as part of the settlement, of course, she had to sign an NDA, which really curtails her ability to speak about the incident. When I was doing a little bit of homework, I did discover that since 1989, Hockey Canada has paid out $8.9 million to 21 complainants, not including this latest settlement for the 2018 incident. So Hockey Canada told ministers of parliament that they took $7.6 million out of their national equity fund. And the reason why this is significant is that the national equity fund is funded in part by minor hockey league registration fees. So, right? I mean, I'm paying for my kid to play hockey, and you're paying off sexual assault complainants.
Wow.
Not cool, man. So as a result, major sponsors like Tim Hortons and Canadian Tire have removed their sponsorship. So they're really getting
Tim
hit
Hortons
hard.
is like what, Starbucks? What's Tim Hortons is like a coffee place, right?
Dunkin'
Yes,
yeah.
Tim Hortons is a coffee place. It is the coffee franchise of Canada, and I guess
Canada.
Starbucks would be the next one. But,
The next one.
But it's more like Dunkin' Donuts. More like Dunkin' Donuts.
I would have to visit a Dunkin's to properly assess that, because there are Dunkin's.
You guys
and
don't
they're
have
definitely not Timmy's. Well, we've had them come and go because, well, they just can't compete against a Timmy's.
Yeah,
Tim
Dunkin'
Hortons.
Donuts.
But I was wondering if I could get you to share your thoughts about the 2018 sexual assault case, and what steps do you feel should be taken to reform sports organizations that protect sexual assailants?
Let's start with Liz. Started Johnny last time.
Hire women. All women.
Simple.
All women. Oh, dang.
All women. Across the board. Across the executive board. No, there has to be more checks. Really.
Checks and
There has
balances.
to be more
Mhm.
checks and balances, and people who are involved in overseeing that are not a part of Hockey Canada, that are not a part of USA Hockey, or whatever, US or sports organization governing by. There has to be an
Right.
outside entity that is looking into this, that has no, nothing invested into
I,
the outcome. And that's why you're seeing a lot of these, minute payoffs, these
Mm,
NDAs, this
mm,
hush hush money under the table. It's
mhm.
because everyone involved, everyone who's overseeing, everyone who's investigating, who's doing the interviewing, they have a stake in the outcome. They don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to lose their job, or they don't want their hockey team or hockey player to go down. You need an outside organization to come in and overhaul and oversee all of this. And it's not just Hockey Canada. It's not just USA Canada. It's FIFA, it's the IOC, it's the NFL,
all of it.
MLB, NBA, all NHL, all of it.
Yeah.
All of
Yeah.
it. There needs to be someone on the outside who is neutral, that can come in and oversee these cases. And it's, unfortunately, this is the norm.
Mhm.
This isn't some
Mhm.
fluke situation, some case that, is an anomaly or what have you. This is the norm when it comes to sports, women in sports. Also, there are a lot of men that get abused in sports. Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so there's just a lot of sexual abuse in sports, violence in sports that gets shifted, thrown under the rug, and no one does anything about it until it hits the headlines. And then you throw some people some money here and there and expect it to go away, put a band-aid on it. So we need some type of movement where we have a different governing body that comes in and says, look, I have no, stake in this. But
Yeah.
I am going to be an unbiased, impartial party. I'm going to come in, look at the case, and figure out what happened. I mean, we've seen situations like this, happen recently in the NHL. With a very prominent Blackhawks player, come out and say he was sexually abused. And then it went back to, turns out the coach knew, turns out the GM of the team knew. Like it was a long paper trail of people who knew what was going on, and the guy that abused him wasn't even a coach; he was a trainer on the team.
Mhm.
Did you know
But
about that, Rob?
he had a history
There's
of abusing. But it happens so often. It
Yeah,
happens
it
so
happens so
often.
often, Neo.
It could have
It's
been,
like the
yeah.
Boy Scouts or the Catholic
Yeah,
Like a
Church.
story on the back
It happens
page.
so
yeah,
often.
Hmm.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
even the
It,
gymnastics thing with the gymnastics girls, and they said that
Oh
their
yeah, the
trainer
gymnasts.
trained.
and the
Mhm.
and the
Yeah.
sad thing about that is how long it went on, how far reaching it was, because we weren't just talking about it. What like we The only reason why we really kind of heard about it was because there were Olympic gymnasts involved.
Hmm.
But the
Yes.
majority of the victims were college and high school gymnasts who were abused by this one doctor.
Hmm.
And so it just goes on and on. And let me just say this: Jim Jordan, a part of
Jim Jordan.
Congress, you know, before that case at Michigan State, there was a case with the male athletes at Ohio State University who came out and said that their coach was sexually abusing them. And they told then Ohio State faculty member Jim Jordan about it, and he did nothing. This guy he's a senator. He's a
Hmm.
member of Congress right now, but he did nothing. And so it happens so often.
It
It's
does.
it's absolutely ridiculous.
It reminds me.
Ridiculous.
It reminds me of the Washington Commanders right now, and Daniel Snyder and his culture, his toxic culture in the locker rooms and office, and the NFL was basically like chalk it up to boys will be boys, basically, and but it's good to see
It's been going on with the Washington team for
years.
decades.
Hmm. Yeah,
Boys will be
And they
boys
still
applies
haven't done.
to when I fall out of the tree and crack my head open. It doesn't apply to misogyny
It
and
shouldn't.
culture.
it definitely shouldn't, but it has been.
No.
It has been. I mean, I remember that rape case where the guy was caught red-handed and basically let off because boys will be boys, basically. I mean, it's pretty rough.
Yeah.
What are you saying, Jenny?
It's very.
This whole thing is systemic, as Liz was pointing out. All of like the sports executives, the GMs, the trainers, the coaches, they all made like a decision to not speak out about whatever sexual assault and to hide things and to just basically keep it on the low. So abuse in sports can continue to happen. So I think, Rob, to answer your question, first we need accountability. In a sense, we're doing that now, but I just feel like it is overt. It's like a lot of people are speaking out about it, but it starts with accountability and then replace that with some type of like safe space, safe environment so that the details of how these things happen could even, like, for example, if you're speaking out about something that happened to you to a counselor, you're likely to get more details about how that could have happened to somebody else or how that could happen to somebody else so that you can correct or reform that whole entire thing. Like maybe there doesn't need to be certain coaches or certain trainers. Maybe there's only, like Liz said, all female trainers or all female staff and faculty. But it just needs real dissecting. Like people really need to get in there, and a third party really needs to get in there and start just helping these people, because it's like sports is supposed to be entertainment, and now it's just this disgusting, like, it's the same thing with religion, not to go off topic, but it's just like, it's just weird, like all of these
You
things,
talk about
these
the
leaders
Catholic
that we're
priests.
looking up to. Yeah.
I mean, listen, it's not just Catholicism, though. You know, there
Oh,
are a
that's true.
lot of Baptist
That's very
ministers
true.
up there,
Yeah.
you know, acting a fool,
That's true.
touching folks they shouldn't be touching. And let me just say, you know, when I said, you know, women, I kind of said that in jest, because let's be real, there are some women out there who are abusers, you know,
Yeah.
or
You
if
must
they're
you
not
must have read
ones.
Jacqueline Robinson's comment.
No, I haven't read it, but I
Oh.
can feel. I know my sister. I can feel, you know, her getting incensed. But there are women out there. If they're not actually the physical abusers, they are enablers. They are allowing it to happen. It's just really sad, you know, what humans will do for the almighty dollar, and that's what this boils down to. You know,
Yeah.
that's why people, you know, overlook things, turn the other cheek, not report, you know, certain incidents or whatever, because they're getting paid not to. And even for the victim, you can't fault a victim for signing an NDA. For those who don't know, non-disclosure agreement, signing an NDA
Okay.
for $3 million, because for her, that probably was closure.
Mm-hmm.
For her, that
Yep.
probably
And
was
she
some
probably couldn't
level
get
of
much more than that because she wasn't going to
exactly, and
get criminal charges, so she took what
some
she could
level
get.
of accountability. Exactly. And hopefully it brought her some peace, because a lot of victims don't get that.
Mhm.
This
That's true.
Mhm.
All right, real quick, while she's fixing her camera. So, Jacqueline Robinson, just to point out her comment. Actually, let me go to Mike Winter first. He says, "This is one of many problems of not having regulations and oversight. Capitalism is not self-regulating." And then Jacqueline Robinson says, "Rob, you're asking the wrong people. The owners of DC's football team are complicit in this type of behavior. In fact, Dan Snyder turned the team over to his equally vile wife." So no
woman?
change, which was no change there. It's putting lipstick on a pig, literally. So, Robbie, what are your final thoughts on this?
It's I really like the conversation. It is systemic, and there needs to be an overhaul at very top levels throughout the old boys club. And I think that perhaps a national organization, third party, neutral, that can work with any given sports association might be a step in the right direction, just to make access to reporting and to help a little bit more accessible.
And Paulette Bertrand says, yes, Gianni, religious institutions as well. All right. Is this truth,
Y'all remember?
lies, or shenanigans? Y'all remember what?
Eddie Long. Eddie Long, he wasn't Catholic. Eddie Long was the black
Baptist.
minister
Oh.
who was sexing all of his male parishioners and all that foolish.
Yeah, it's not just the
Truth,
Catholic.
lies, shenanigans.
Gosh, no.
It's the Mormons. It's the. I'm
A
kidding.
lot of
It's
truth.
It's
This is
everybody.
this is pretty good.
It's
It's-
everywhere.
Good topic, Robbie.
mean,
Thanks for
Let's
sharing
talk
that.
about Ghislaine Maxwell, all right? I mean, there are some pretty vile women out there too.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, we've got a couple more minutes. So also wanted to kind of throw in there. Well, actually, let's go, Liz, since we're still talking sports, let's talk about Damar Hamlin real quick. Can you kind of tell the audience, update us on what happened with Damar Hamlin?
Damn, I was trying to look for an update before we got to Damar of the Washington football team game, but I'm thinking because it's no longer up on the board that they won. Okay, so middle finger to all my
I'm sure Kevin
Cowboys
Jackson will tell
fans,
you.
friends, and all of that. Um, so I'm not going to be vulgar. It is a lot of people's Sabbath, so I'm not going to put up a finger. But you know my heart. You know my
The
heart.
respect.
Um, so yeah, so talking about Damar Hamlin. So last week, Monday Night Football, on January 2nd, game between the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals. First quarter, safety Damar Hamlin put a hit on T. Higgins, and right after he tackled him, he got up for like maybe 3 seconds and immediately fell back down, full layout, right?
Yeah.
Um,
He was
was
done.
unconscious. The players, the referees, they immediately knew that he was in distress, that something was wrong. The trainers from both sides like rushed to the field. He was unconscious. He was in full cardiac arrest. The trainers worked on him, excuse me, on the field for 9 minutes, giving him CPR, including mouth to mouth, including chest compressions. They were able to revive his heart on the field. They had to resuscitate him on the field, according to his uncle, once on the field and once again at the hospital. So full cardiac arrest after that hit. Happy to say that, almost a week later, Damar, is recovered. He is alert. He is talking. He's in his hotel room. I'm sorry, his hospital
I was gonna
room
say hospital.
before the game, the Bills game today. He was in his hospital room with his parents, watching the game, giving, heart signs, wishing his team well. And it captured everyone's heart
Yeah.
this week, because very rarely do we see something this serious live.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, this isn't the
Mhm.
first time this has happened in sport,
Of course not.
but very rarely do we see it live. And everyone, was leaning on what they use for faith, whether it be prayer, whether it be burning sage, or what have you. But there's been a lot of commentary afterwards about how violent the NFL is. The NFL taking too long possibly to call the game. It took them maybe an hour to figure out or to decide that they were going to postpone and eventually, cancel Monday's game. There was a lot of comments on, social media. Social media is the devil, y'all, but a lot of comments on social
Mhm.
media about what happened. But, just talking about that, like, I don't know if you guys, saw the replay of what happened. I'm sure you've heard about it at
Yeah, I
least
saw it.
once over the past week. So just curious about, your comments and your thoughts
Yeah, I
on
mean,
what transpired.
I'm curious if you guys think that there's anything we can do to kind of prevent. I mean, is the NFL doing enough? Should we stop playing football? I mean, what I know Lizzie is a no, but I'm
It's
just curious. I'm curious with Johnny and Rob.
it's just interesting to me. I did see something scrolling past my YouTube page on like why NFL players are falling out, because apparently he's not the only one. Like Liz said, there's other instances where that happened. But my thing is, like, cardiac arrest sounds like something that is happens to like people in older age. So it's like obviously there's some type of stress being put on his body, put on pressure put on his body and his workouts. And I probably sound ignorant right now because I don't know too much
No,
about sports,
Mm.
but
No
I just feel
conversation.
like the
No.
stress, yeah, but I just feel like the stress that maybe these NFL players or just, these athletes in general have to be put under. Um, the game is for money at the end of the day. It's not an entertainment game, so you're not just getting fit just to be able to do well. You're getting fit so that you can. I don't know. The whole thing of sports. I know that
yeah,
it's just a game at the end of the day, but I feel like because there's the root of it is for money, and it's like
most football players are economically disadvantaged, and that's the reason they get into sports. I know a lot of football players have said, "Hey, I played football, but I'll never let my children play." So you're absolutely right, Rob.
wow.
I'm going to defer to Robin Johnson on this one because she
Mhm.
said that this could happen in regular life. This particular incident was not a fault of the game. This can happen with any blunt force trauma,
And this is
which is
Dr.
true.
Robin Johnson.
If Dr. Robin Johnson, our veterinarian. I like how Damar handled it. I mean, when he came to, when he was finally alert, he's like, "Did we win the game?" And then, texting his team, "I'm sorry I did that to y'all." Like, how sweet is that? His heart's his heart's in the right place. But I do agree with what Johnny is saying, though. These professional athletes train at a level that we can't imagine. Think of your worst, most painful workout you've had, and this is what these people do.
Oh God, yeah.
And then some.
Right.
And then some.
That's true.
So they do put a lot of strain on their
They do.
bodies, Johnny. That's why they're well compensated, because, and like you said, they're commodities at the end of the day. They're there
They're
to
commodities.
generate wealth for the club owners.
Yeah.
And
Cash.
it's like that's a lot of these guys, professional football players at 30, 40 years old have the knees and hips of someone 2 or 3 times their age. Like, they're just finished, but they've got the money to buy new ones. At least you can do that.
Yep.
But
Right. Final thought, Liz.
I just, I get, people's concern, but it's not just the NFL. Like, if we're going to talk about the NFL, we have to talk about boxing. We have to talk about MMA.
Yep.
We have
I
to
was
talk
thinking the same
about,
thing. First thing I thought about.
we have to talk about soccer. There are a lot of headers in soccer. We have to talk about, when I saw Damar go down, my first thought was of
Concussion.
Hank Gathers,
Oh.
basketball player, Loyola Marymount college basketball player who died on the court 1990 during a game. He's coming back after someone made a layup. The opposing team made a layup. He's running back up the court. He collapses on the court. Mama's in the stand, come running down. They're working on him or whatever. And he had a heart condition. But he died in that moment. It happened again in the NBA with Reggie Lewis for the Celtics. Very similar situation. Like, it happens
These
in
things
sports,
happen,
unfortunately. So it's not.
I mean, it
it's
happens in
not-
regular life. It's not even
It
just
happens in
sports.
regular life.
I mean, I know people. Matter of fact, a good friend of mine was playing soccer and he just dropped dead. It's actually a similar thing. He had a heart cardiac arrest. Good college friend of mine, and he's young guy. This was probably like 5 years ago. Just died. He was just playing. No, he wasn't a extreme athlete or anything. He was just having fun.
I think it's natural for everyone to overreact and say, "Oh my God, we should ban this or whatever," but
Never.
in reality, this is so abnormal. Like, it does
happens,
not happen
but it is
every day.
relatively rare.
I think what we can do and hope for improvement and be thankful that, the Buffalo Bills training staff was equipped with trainers who knew what to do immediately, instantly, and they had the equipment to take care of him. So if we're going to do anything moving forward, whether it be at the high school level, the college level, or the professional level, make sure that equipment is on the sideline to take care of these players. If somebody goes down, if something happens, if there's some type of sudden heart change, rhythm change, or whatever, that they are able to handle it and take care of the players. I think that's the one thing I would like to see. And again, I applaud, the trainer for the Bills, because many people have said, if not for his swift action, Damar would not be with us today. And so props to him for jumping in and doing what he did.
All right. Is this truth, lies, shenanigans? We got to close this one out.
Lies, shenanigans.
This is, of course,
A lot of truth today. Look at that.
A lot of truth.
Everybody's got truth today. All right.
Coming in the year with some truth.
We were going to talk a little bit about, see if we get in a conversation about Kevin McCarthy, who finally won Speaker of the
If y'all are betting people, y'all need to bet the lucky number 15 now.
15.
Lucky number 15.
15 votes. He was finally elected Speaker of the House late on Friday.
My goodness.
First time it took this many votes since the Civil War. So, yeah, it was hilarious. Hilarious that evening. I actually watched the vote. It was so funny to watch. The whole Gates thing and everything like that.
I refused to watch it. I was just like, these clowns on the Republican
I was playing
side.
spades with my friends, and we started watching the
They're
vote.
eating their own. They're eating their own. Like Getz is up there calling
Oh.
people out. I'm like, dude, you are a pedophile. Hello. Like I'm not even like I couldn't
Yeah.
I couldn't watch them. But yeah, 15. If you guys are gonna bet some money, bet some numbers this week, bet lucky number 15.
Lucky number
Bet lucky number
15.
15. Absolutely.
All right, we're out of time. It's time for our game show.
The first cheating game show of 2023. We have Neonix.
All right, so we are playing real simple 7-second challenge. We'll go around the horn. You go around the horn. App will give you a challenge to perform, and you'll have 7 seconds to do it. If you complete the challenge successfully in 7 seconds, you get a point. If you refuse to do it or don't do it in a lot of time, you get nothing. Person with the most points, it's the final thought for the show. Fortunately, this one is for Rob B. So Rob B, you have 7 seconds to bark like an angry dog and whimper like a timid puppy afterwards. You ready? Go.
That was good, actually.
That was pretty good.
Answer.
Whoops, correctly. All
That
right.
could be a sound
Notice how
effect.
quickly he got into character. Notice how quickly he got into character. Ooh, Rob.
All right.
Rob's a real actor.
Go into dad mode. Go into dad mode.
All right.
True.
Next up, we got Lizzie. All right, Lizzie. Name 3 plays written by William Shakespeare. You've got
That's-
7 seconds. Go.
Hamlet, Macbeth, and my favorite, Titus Andronicus.
Titus Andronicus. All right. Good job. All right. Good
Yeah.
job. Good job. Correctly done. All right. 1 point each. All right. Are you ready, Gianni? Yeah.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
you always get the impressions. Look at this. All right. Gianni. The game always gives you impressions. All right. You need your best impression of Joe Biden. You ready?
Jeez.
I'm going to give you half a
Okay.
second. Are you ready? Go.
Easy, Gianni, come on. I should have given you a
You
hint.
fall asleep. Oh my God. All right. So she said, all right, I'm going to give you that one. I'm going to go ahead and give that to you.
You could have easily done. Come on, man.
Oh, malarkey. Ready?
on, man.
All right.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
good.
Man.
All right. I'm going to give you that one. All right. Good
Would you
job.
just shut up?
Exactly.
Robbie. Oh, this is, yeah, Robbie, you're up. Robbie, you have 7 seconds to do a famous rap verse.
Why do you think
Any
you need that
famous
one?
rap verse. Robbie, I'm sorry about that, buddy.
Are you
That's
serious?
random. You ready?
Are you
Ah,
serious, Rob? Come on.
Ready?
Jay-Z.
Go.
So what you want? What you want?
All right. Yes, the Beasties. The Beastie Boys. The Beastie Boys. All right,
All
Rob.
right, nice.
Oh, I got
Nice,
some
Robbie.
love from Liz. I love this game.
I love this. Oh,
I love the Beasties.
all right, Liz, you are mute and she is deaf. Describe a chicken to her.
What?
Yeah, all right, 7 seconds, go. Doing the funky
gotta
chicken. She's still silly. She's a mute. Oh man, you gotta if you listen to the podcast, you gotta see that.
That was smooth.
We have to put that. That's the clip we're gonna have to put. Robbie, when you do a short, you have to do that one.
I know.
All right, we're giving her that one. That's good. Lizzie gets a point. All right, Gianni, last one of this round. All right. Oh, is this acting up on me again? One more. Hold on. All right, Gianni. Name 4 disciples of Jesus Christ.
Okay,
You ready? 7 seconds.
Kinda.
Go.
Peter, Paul, Saul. Ooh.
Come on. Come on.
Jacob.
Use those.
Jacob.
Was Jacob I don't think Jacob's a disciple.
Saul and Paul are the same guy.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It was a good try though. How you miss Judas?
Oh.
Right?
All right. Sorry,
He was
Gianni.
only a Like, he's a
All right.
traitor.
So this is the last round, and this is between Liz and Robbie. All right. Robbie,
Call him-
sing your favorite theme song. I think you've had this before. Are you ready? Go.
TV theme
Then
song.
don't give it to him.
Song.
Go.
I guess Flintstones. Meet the Flintstones.
Oh, that's a good one.
Here's your water, tell me
All
how
right.
lovely.
That's correct. Correct.
Yeah,
All right.
bedrock.
We'll go with that. All right, Liz. This is for all the marbles. Well, not all the marbles. For Ty. Oh, God. How'd you get this one? Name 4 heavyweight boxers. 4 famous heavyweight boxers. This is our sports person naming 4 heavyweight boxers. All right, you got 7 seconds. Go.
Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis, Riddick Bowe, and Muhammad Ali.
Oh, I was going to say. Put it right up to the minute. There you go. Okay. All right. All right, this is what we're going to do this last one.
All right.
All right, so we're going to... Oh, did it act up on me one more time?
Meanwhile, we're going to rap. To all the ladies in the place with style and grace, allow me to lace these lyrical dishes in your bushes. Ooh.
Okay. This is what we're going to do. We're going to do the best impression of Barack Obama. And what we're going to do is whoever has the best impression of Barack Obama wins the game. All right?
You gotta stick to your ears. No, I'm playing.
All right.
You're right.
We're going to give you 7 seconds. Do it at the same time. Are you ready? Go. Go.
Boom.
Oh,
the
you
mic.
jerk. No.
Oh, do you smoke it? You got him smoking? I'm doing the mic drop. We're doing the mic drop. Lizzie dropped the mic. All right, we're going with the mic drop. Lizzie, you win the game. Good job, Lizzie. Okay.
The back of the club with Moet is where you find me. The back of the club, what? Biggie up, Biggie Smalls. Whoop, whoop.
I think I would have given Kevin Thaxton. He says, do the ears. I think I would have given it to Kevin. The mic drop was a good one, too. The mic was okay. All right.
I was looking for something to drop. I'm like, I have nothing up here that symbolizes a
bottle.
mic.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, let's get us some shout outs. Oh, that's the wrong thing. All right. We have to
Happy New Year, y'all. Happy New Year.
we're saying happy New Year.
It's officially 23.
All right. It's acting up. Hold on, give me 1 second.
Ooh.
We're going to get it together. All right. Let's get some shout outs in. We're going to start with Robbie today. I don't usually start with Robbie.
I would like to give a shout out to all of the underappreciated city workers. Parking enforcement, snow removal, garbage pickup, and the many other departments in which these people work. We hear so many people complain about these people who are just trying to do their job well.
All right. City workers. I like it. Gianni?
Shout out to the small business owners and the entrepreneurs. And I know that it's been weird and you've had to adapt already in this climate, but continue to be creative, continue to be positive, and I wish everybody the best in their business.
Good shout out. I like that one. Liz?
Once again, shout out to the WFT, the Washington football team, the Commanders. We beat them boys, the Bamas, 26-3. Boom, boom, boom. Yes, DC needs to be a state. What's up? What's up? Yes, DC. Woo.
I love it. All right.
Yes.
All right, my shout outs to my wonderful mother-in-law. She just turned 80 this week. So happy birthday to my mother-in-law, Nola. Happy birthday, Nola. The big 8-0. And that is officially all the time we have for today's show. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. We hope you learned something, gained a new perspective, simply had some laughs. We will be back next Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, or listen to episodes of the podcast on Tuesdays on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcast. You can always check out a recorded live episode. Subscribe to us on YouTube using TLSShow.com. And our winner for the final thought, Miss Lizzie. Close us out, Lizzie.
So yes, closing out. So I just want to give some love to a friend of mine, a former Love Jones of mine, who took his life on December 17th.
No.
It was the day before we had our last show, but I didn't find out until right after our last show. And it's been tough going through that right before Christmas, coming into the new year. And I think one of my last message coming out of 2022 for everyone was to take mental illness seriously.
Yeah.
And so this has definitely forced me to take it seriously, to not just check on your friends. I think check on your friends, it's kind of like an empty statement, because checking on your friends means nothing. Like, you could check on me right now and I look happy, but I may not be.
Right.
But be compassionate. Be compassionate with people. Listen to what they're saying. And if you feel something, say something. And so I just want to say to his friends, to his family, William Spadolino, Billy, my sweet Billy, love you, will miss you forever. One of my favorite lines from the movie Stand By Me is, even though we haven't seen each other in 10 years, I will always miss you forever. And the years may be off, but that is truly how I feel. So hope you're resting, Billy. Love you. See you soon, babe. See you soon.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Lizzie. All right. Thank you, Robbie Rock, Lizzie, Gianni. But most importantly, we need to thank you for listening to our shenanigans each and every week.
WFT! Commanders!
All right. Enjoy your week.